What's going on, advocates? Welcome back to another edition of the Black Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Reg. Joined today with me is a special guest. I had the pleasure of speaking with him. I forgot what school that was, but we were at a school together. But ever since then, I seen the movement, and he's been doing it for a long time with people in the community. And I love having the people that's really grassroots from the community doing the work on, because then they can shine a light on some of these situations, especially mental health. I don't introduce nobody because I don't want to miss no credentials. I don't want to miss the work, the highlights. So please introduce yourself to the community, brother.
Keep it short and simple, man. My name is Ryan Harris. I am the founder and CEO of nonprofit organization As I Plant the Seed. And we focus on the youth in the community, and we base out of Hunting Park. We started with a mentorship program in 2015 with 8 kids that initially signed up for the program and then quickly grew within the first year to 70 kids. And we've been mentoring even after they graduate out of high school. So the kids that graduate from our program, we call them the Talk to Me Alumni program. And we have going on our 7th year of graduating class of mentees that came out of our program that's doing amazing work in the community. Some of them are, we have one about to come out of Westchester this year. One just came out of David and Marshall, graduated last year, worked for the government. We have some artists that graduated out of our program that's doing music in a positive way. We have some designers. We got a lot of kids that's activists. It's a lot of them, man. So we focus on the kids over here, trying to teach them some things that they don't learn in school, like financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and just kind of get them a trusted adult to help them navigate through this world when they can't, really lean on anyone in the house, or when their household is not equipped with the skills and, some things that they need might be missing from the household to be able to, grow. We try to meet them where they are and be that, that bridge and that gap. And that's what we've been doing for some time now. And we got a whole lot of other programs as we run out of the treehouse. And to speak about the treehouse is our community center, and is located on 3959 North 9th Street. And we got that community center from standing outside on Broad Hunting Park, praying and fasting until we raised $30,000 to be able to get that community center. And we've been operating for the last 2 years out of there. And, we have 13 programs running out of the community center right now, anywhere from boxing to self-defense to etiquette class to chess to double dutch to entrepreneurship program. We also got an investment program for learning how to do investments, and also insurance program for the communities. All these programs are free. We just gave out $25,000 in micro grants to help these programs run out our facility. So we're doing the work, grassroots organization, not being funded by any government sources, anything. We've been doing it from the muscle for so long. And, quite frankly, we like being an underdog and, keep pushing and, changing the, trajectory of the kids' lives and, quite frankly, changing the mindset of the people in our community so they can think different. And I think that, we've been making an impact to come together and make a change in our community, and it's working.
So you said a mouthful there. I want to make sure we go into, because I don't want you to understate the importance of the work that you're doing, especially how you raise that money.
Absolutely.
Going back, like, how did you even get started in doing it? Now, I know for a lot of I ain't gonna speak for nobody. I know some people, their mission come from what they didn't have when they were younger, right? Or what they wish they would have had. So why did you feel like you were chosen to do this work?
Well, mine is actually the complete opposite of what you just said.
See, that's why I ain't want to speak for nobody.
Because actually, I had those opportunities, and I knew exactly why I had different opportunities, and I knew that, because of the way I was, and what I was capable of doing, I had different opportunities that, the average kid probably wouldn't be able to experience if they're not good in sports, or, have somebody that they're around in a positive light that's going to take them under the wing. And I had those experiences, and I know that, that was probably like a big defining factor of, why I am the way I am, just the mentors that, helped me navigate through life from, different periods of my life, different times of my life, where there was always somebody kind of like guiding me and exposing me to new things that, made me think a little bit different. And I wanted a little bit more out of life. So it kind of, made me run away from the streets, always kind of clinged on to more positive environments and people that was probably going somewhere. And I know that kind of like gave me some type of direction to have somebody in my life to tell me which way to go or what to do, what not to do, or somebody be an example. So the least I can do in my lifetime is to be able to be, what somebody was to me, and just try to kick it up and put on a larger scale and try to like, reach as many youth as I can. So creating a program, about a mentorship program that doesn't focus on sports and basketball and the things that, they tell us that people that look like us have to, that's the only way we can be successful. So, we're trying to expose them to different things that might, make them go in a different direction, make them believe that success is, tangible in another lens than, what society tell us that, our youth is only going to be good for, and we know that's not true because we have some amazing youth that came out of our program. So.
Nah, and it's funny because of the area you do your work in. I grew up around until about middle school and went to the Northeast. So my mom had apartments 9th and Rockland, 12th and Lindley. Like I went to
Okay.
Cook, I went to Bernie. I'm actually on the
Okay.
board for Bernie. See, I know the area. So
Hey, you're man.
so I appreciate, but I always said I was on the sidewalk, so I knew what was going on in the streets, but I was on the sidewalk to stay out the way.
Me too. Me too. And the truth of the matter, I have, homies or, people I grew up with that I really call my brothers, that I know that's down for me for whatever. But, they gave me the space and allowed me to be me. As long as I stay authentic and kept it real myself and not try to be somebody I wasn't. I was always cool and I could hang when it was time, but when it wasn't time, it was cool for me to dip off and nobody wasn't trying to peer pressure me and say anything, just being true to myself, not being no punk or whatever the case may be, but, still holding my own, but, it was a different time when you can fight or do all of those type of things. But, it's different times now. So we trying to help the kids, navigate a little bit different.
No, and I was going to ask you that too, because I'm always thinking about, and not just the men, the young boys, but the young ladies too. Like I feel like it's almost harder to navigate that without getting caught up in it, because it's like you get caught trying to be hard when you in a space where that ain't even you, but because you want to be down, you want to be with them, like you get caught up, and instead of, like you saying, being authentically yourself and being able to still be you while also being around. What do you say to those young boys who they want to do that but they don't know how to navigate that? You get what I mean?
Well, like, I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and I know a lot of people probably don't know the history of the Crips, but one of my mentors took me to California to go meet one of the founders, the original founders of the Crips. So all them Snoop Dogs and Big U's and all them guys and the Crips, like he is the OG of the Crips. And when I met him, he pretty much was a part of how they portrayed, or what the Crips turned out to be when it originally turned out, when originally that they was trying to, say the community, they was trying to, say the crib, say the babies at the crib or whatever. It was called the baby cribs, not the Crips. So that's just a little history lesson. But, I actually went and met the founder and, they was protecting the community. And, one thing that when I left him, I asked him, like, if there was any information you could leave me with, what would be, the thing that you would leave me if you could, leave me with the deepest impression. And he said, the best thing I could do is tell you to be yourself. So what I would tell a lot of kids, like, this is a real live, fairy tale type gangster guy, you know what I mean? That, you know, went to war with cops, went to war with other gangs, and, really lived a life that, was kind of like, forced upon them from narrative shifting and, propaganda and a whole lot of, things that wasn't conducive to the way that was trying to come about when it was, was formed. You know what I mean? And, if this guy lived this whole life and, you think, he is who he is, the founder of the Crips, and he tells me the best thing you do is be yourself, I don't think there's too many people I should listen to. You know what I mean? Uh, just because of who he is and what he's experienced in his life, and he's an old man now, and then just to when you ask somebody to experience all of that in his life, and the best advice he could tell you is to be yourself. It's like, damn, I never thought of being myself as highly as I did until he kind of like told me that. So I would tell every youth that being yourself is the best way out. You know what I mean? The best way out of whatever the conditions you living in, just be who you are and be who God called you to be, because everybody got purpose. Everybody got value. You know what I mean? And once you tap into that, you'll figure out what you're here for in this life. You know what I mean? And, I think that people need to get more in tune with what you're here for and just not living in vain. You know what I mean? So with that being said, tapping into that, you gotta know who you are. You know what I mean? And you gotta love yourself, and you gotta be true to yourself. You know what I mean? And do the things that you want to do, regardless of what society is telling you, whatever the Instagram is telling you, whatever the music is telling you. If it go against where you really want to be in life, you gotta fight those things. You gotta be who you are and who you want to be. So that's the best advice I can give them.
Nah, I'm with you, but I gotta push back a little bit, and the only reason why I'm pushing back because I got a son, and then I've been in those instances where I see where some people try to stand up like and be like, yo, this is what I'm standing on, and they get bullied now because like, all right, I'm standing on this, but now you don't fit with everybody else, so now they about to say, all right, you out the way, and I'm about to, you about to get bullied now, like you the cornball now. You get what I mean? Like, and I think about that too. Even with my son, I think about that. My son don't know nothing about Logan, don't know nothing about that. He go to private school now, and I'm like, damn. If I take him around his cousins and he go in there, they might to like air him out. Like, you get what I mean?
For sure. But that's, I mean, for your son, that's probably, a little bit different, not coming up in that atmosphere and not, having to be or live under a facade. He don't have to live like that. So when he go there, it's actually transitional for him. We talking about kids that live there, that are being influenced to do the things that are tearing our community up. You know what I mean? So when we talking about rejecting those things and standing on that, that's what more so I'm talking about. And then also when we talking about being free about who you are, there are places in the community where you can be yourself. That's why we had a treehouse for you could come. If people want to call you, where could you like to play games? We teach you how to make a game. You know what I mean? And become rich from it. So we make what's cool is we control the narrative about what's cool. Like, so once surround yourself in those atmosphere where you can grow and develop in those safe spaces, that the treehouse create, then you're allowed to be yourself. And then we also teach you how to navigate in a world with bullies, how to handle them, how to conflict resolution, and also how to stand up for yourself if you have to, because we got self-defense in boxing. So we covering a whole lot of, you know what I mean? Because we understand what's going on. So it would be different for your son, and you definitely would have to teach him that stuff if you want to navigate in them spaces, but he in the right place because you did what you're supposed to do. And it's kind of different for a lot of people that didn't have the opportunity to step out the neighborhood and be able to experience what your son is experiencing right now. So kudos to you, man, for sure.
No, I appreciate that. And it's going right into that because it's a mental health podcast. Talk to me about the youth mental health. What's going on? What people not saying? People always say, yeah, we got to talk to the young people. We got to include the young people. And then they get to the top, and it's all these old people in the room deciding what's the best for the young people, right? What?
Always, that's always been a problem, man. You got to give a space for the young people to talk, and not only talk and express themselves, without judgment, but also give them space to lead. They are natural leaders. They are descendants of greatness, and just because there's music and, poverty in society and all these systems that got them tied all up is, a force, that we have to fight. That don't mean that we can't come up against it. You know what I mean? And I think that it's going to take time. You know what I mean? It'll take time for that.
How do you help them navigate? So I ain't gonna lie, some of the music is hard. Like you can't get away from the music being hard. the music is hard, and as well as as hard as it is, we know that it's influenced us in a bad way, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it depends on the songs you're listening to. How do you help them navigate that, dynamic?
Also, see, the thing about a lot of times that our people, we always get locked in with what other people are doing, and we get so caught up with society and societal standards that we forget that we are the creators. And to just to that, I would say, we got artists around us. I know a plethora of artists that are, really really dope, really really spitting some dope content that really is, helpful, and bringing light and shedding, and sharing education with the youth. So there are platforms that we just need to make that's already cool. We just kind of need to make them cooler as a community, and we kind of like, need to stop advocating for the things that's really destroying our community, regardless of how you feel, and that it feels good or it sounds good or whatever. Like them kids, a 5 Star and the Philly Goats, they literally making music right now that you dance to. They might have some, some disturbing lyrics in it, but for the most part, I see a lot of kids happy and dancing about what's going on versus what the lyrics are. And and I don't even think that they are that bad. They probably saying some explicit things and probably have some cuss words, but for the most part, you got babies and you got different cultures dancing and doing the same dance. Like that is actually bringing unity, and we can focus on more of that type of music and have fun with that, and make sure the kids is being exposed more so to that. And I mean, we gotta get to the root of the problem. It's not really the artist, or because the artist gonna do what is selling, and for the most part, if these record labels and these platforms stop, you know allowing it, then I think that, or not even saying allowing it, because then you'll starve artists, but I would say that I stop putting so much investment into it for the sake of people's lives, because we know what it's doing, and we get serious about being human, and understanding that this is really happening. It's not like a joke, it's not like a movie, it's like it's really happening. These kids are going back and forth in videos and saying, who they killed or who got smoked or who they smoking on, which is beyond me. And I don't understand how we can really continue this way and allow, this stuff to continue happening, and being funded by these people, quite frankly, I say they don't care. And for the people that don't understand, that is a part of it, that look like us, I say they just need to be more educated, and I think that we got enough power as Black people in the collective of entertainment and all that to control our own narrative and switch it up if we want to, but people gotta want to. And I know that that's been said plenty of times, and no matter how many podcasts I do and how many times I say it, it's going to take a collective effort to happen. And as far as I'm concerned, I really don't care about what they're doing. I'm no celebrity, none of that, because in my community, we doing what we supposed to do. So I can, I ain't really, crapping on nobody or none of that. But I work for the community. I dedicated my life to make sure that I find resources and bring my community what they need to uplift themselves out of poverty, and that's my goal. And I don't even want to sound like Martin Luther King, that I might not see the fruits of the labor, be exactly what the full dream is, but at the end of the day, I know that we pressing towards that mark, and whether I see it or not, I'm cool with starting and pushing our youth in the right direction so they can pick up the lead, because they the ones that's gonna literally be running this country, and we need to get people that look like us in power so we can take care of our own, because that's what everybody else is doing.
Nah, and you made a lot of John. Hope I could fit everything in this hour that we got together.
Hey, look, you're gonna have to send me this whole joint, though, because I know I'm snapping.
Yeah, no, you did. You is one of the questions that I had too. It's a few questions actually. But how do you, and I always talk to that with leaders and people that like who are doing like the work. How do you I'm trying to think of a word. Navigate is the word that's coming to mind, but what do you do to keep the balance of like feeling like it's only a drop in the bucket, and like you doing the work every day, like you doing the work, but is it really make an impact? And how do like you keep yourself motivated when you still seeing like
I have my moments. I have my moments, and my moments come from my personal attachment to the youth and their outcomes. And if they're doing well, if they're not doing well, that be my joint. That, they always try to let me know, like, oh, how we turned out, that's not your fault, whatever the case may be. But to be quite honest, like, I pride myself on making sure that we equip them with what they need so they can change their life. And, that's my goal, to see them, really prosper and, go as far as they probably never imagined that they could if they didn't have somebody to, push them. So, that's my whole thing.
no, I got you. I'm gonna read something you wrote as I was doing my research, and you tell me where your mind was at and how you feel now. So you said, "I've been at Jefferson for 13 years and been working in the community for 10 years. Gun violence have been taking over our communities with no regard for age and gender at an alarming rate. Normally, these kind of things within close proximity of disenfranchised neighborhoods, and there used to be a sign of relief from gun violence working downtown Philly once I got clocked in. But today, that comfortable feeling is gone as the gun violence in our city continues to rise and place your thought we're relatively safe aren't safe anymore.
Mm.
God, I pray for our city and everyone that has been affected by gun violence in this city. Talk to me."
Well, that was an incident where I was at work, and a gentleman that was working there came and shot another employee.
Mm.
So I was there for 13 years. Like I said, I never seen nothing like that happen. Incidents happen, family get crazy, and there's been a lot of talks and scares, but never something actually happening like that. And I mean, it was just a lot, what I mean? And it's just like, it's just happening. It's happening without no regard. And you know, I'm tired of people kind of like playing with the idea of this whole gun violence and all this money that's dropping out the sky for it, and nothing is changing. That's like kind of ridiculous to me. And that is, due to smoke screens and, how money is being handled and funneled, and, it not being reached to the people that's really caring and that's making a difference. And understanding that, if having that capacity to, build when you have capital, they know that, that's a real, vehicle to get to, some goals of, educating the community. And that's a scary sight. So we got to be honest and true about, what this gun violence look like, what I mean, and what it's really doing and how much impact it has. I literally, I literally was on a block yesterday, and somebody got killed on the block. Like, kids outside, broad daylight, and it's just like, everybody walked back after everybody left it. Everything went back to normal, and it's like, that's scary. For everybody to act like that's normal and just, could continue and live their life and, just, watch your body, stay up, man. Be safe out here. It's like, damn, like, we really having these conversations, but not knowing most people that saying that experience that and experience somebody not coming back.
Mm.
So we gotta be real. We gotta be honest when we talk about gun violence. We gotta know that it's rising, and we can't play with the idea of it. We have to really, really, put our best forward to stop it. Meet these people at their needs so they can change their mindset. Give them real opportunities that they need to be able to take care of their families, so they won't feel obligated to put themselves in danger or life harm or harm's way to, provide for their families. And quite frankly, we so far from the drug dealers now provide for their families that, it's like a more of a thing to do,
Mm.
it's a thing to do than,
A mechanism of survival. Like it used to be for survival.
so yeah, that's the excuse now. And then now they up and now they flashing and they buying bottles and being doing this and doing that. So that was the culture. And now people is living by the culture that they say is look like us, but that's not our culture. You know what I mean? That's not our culture. That's something that, that was systematically, set up for us. And to be able to paint a narrative, because we don't control the media, of what we look like and make everybody in the world believe it, because that's what they believe when they see us. And that's why, man, you about to have me in my bag.
Go ahead. Go
And
ahead.
that's why these cops is killing and we killing each other. It's like, come on, man. We've been bamboozled for too long. We know these systems. We talk about them freely, but the government do nothing about it. Like, they can snap their fingers and make laws to stop certain things, to punish people to the highest extent, but they have yet to do that for people that look like us still. So we can't continue to play with them and wait for them either, because we ain't waiting for nobody. We making it happen. And if I gotta stand outside again, I stand outside again and make it happen for these kids. And I ain't waiting for nobody. So
Well, we here, run it back. Talk about the first time you had to stand outside. What was that? What was the mind process by that? I kind of went and learned the story, but talk to the people about like what's the thought provide behind it.
so it was just time. Our organization was growing. We was running our program out of a local rec center. Uh and we literally kind of like just grew out of it. We needed more space, we needed more time, and it didn't work. So, it was time for us to do something drastic, to make something change in our community. And I went to the community with the idea. I woke up in cold sweat, and God told me, like, this what I want you to do. And at first, you hesitate, and you're like, this really the mission you want me to go on? Is humiliating, look like begging, all types of stuff. But when God got a plan for you and you stick to it and you be obedient, you got faith, and you walk that thing out. We literally stood out there for 2.5 days in the rain. It rained for 12 hours straight from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. the first day that we was out there, and I was literally drenched, completely wet with, the poncho didn't help me. Like, I was wet, soaked head to toe, and we stood out there and we raised $30,000 by, what was that, Wednesday at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., something like that. But yeah, I had to help with the youth. I had to help with my community. Shout out to the Roots Committee. Shout out to all the people that, really, really make As I Plant the Seed what it is, because a lot of people think that it's just me, like I'm a one-man band. But I try to tell people all the time that is a whole community of people that is doing the heavy lifting. Like, we making it happen together, and we're not making no excuses. We using our, natural resources around us, and we reaching out to other resources outside of our community and bring them into our community. We just recently got a partnership with Jefferson Hospital, and that is like ridiculous, because I still work there and they don't even know. Like, we partnership with them, and their occupational therapy department is about to come start running, creating and running free programs out of the treehouse for the community. Doctorate and master program, students are about to create programs for the treehouse to not only create them and teach them if we want them to, but also to leave the program and teach people how to teach them. So, these are resources that's coming to the community just by our efforts and, putting the work in and connecting to the right people that really care, and the people that's making it happen without no excuses. And that's the people that we're dealing with, and that's who we worrying about. And we're not really worrying about nobody else. Don't care about, how far somebody else is. The only thing I care about is how we're gonna work together, and how we're gonna make it most impactful, and how it's gonna benefit the people. That's it. That's the only really conversations I really, care to have with, other leaders. It's never gonna be a pissing contest. It's never gonna be anything like that. I have no ego. I don't care about any of those things. I just, want to get the work done. I want to, be serious about providing the resources that the community need and really help them without no smoke screens, and, just really putting the work in with the people that really care, that's like-minded. And, when you work with those people, life get a lot easier, because, things just come a little easier. When you working with like-minded individuals, everybody on one accord, is really a, like a machine. When you work with other people in a collective effort to, what to reach one goal, is always like magic. So
I gotta run something by you. I'll send you the details later. But you said something that I want to run back to. How they could flip a switch and it just done. You seen that with COVID, they was paying people to stay home, like they
well,
had bread.
And let me then speak on this while we on here, because I think it's quite funny to me that, in the middle of a pandemic, they decided to let people press a few buttons and get thousands of dollars. But nonprofit organizations that's doing the work that is in the community, really touching the people, have to go through leaps and bounds to get a grant that is way less than any 2 or 3 people got collectively in the pandemic. When we talk about serving hundreds of thousands of people, and the money is coming out the sky for gun violence prevention, nothing is being changed, and none of the money is really getting to a lot of the smaller organizations that's making a big impact. And, not taking anything from, anything good that anybody had made the efforts to, contribute to stopping the gun violence, and not saying that there's no good organizations that's doing work that they are connected to, as far as making sure they get funded. But, there's a lot more I think that can happen, and it can be an easier process for smaller organizations to be able to have access to that money without going through hula hoops, because there's ways to get the money to people, because we just seen it drop out the sky with people just pressing buttons, and not without a lot of verification and a lot of stuff. Like, people was getting pandemic money, they in jail getting pandemic money, like not even, outside on the bricks being able to get money, and not really having no way to stop it either. Like, if that's possible, then, I think that y'all could get a little frivolous with trying to stop gun violence and let the money just come out the sky and see what happened. You know what I mean? If, and I ain't trying to like act like I know everything or whatever, but I just feel like, if we are on this national scale of gun violence prevention and the way everything is being moved, then I think that, we could drop some money out the sky for those efforts to help change the community.
Where did the name As I Plant the Seed come from?
It's funny because we operated without a name. Actually, we operated under my sister, one of my sister's best friends. Her name is Latoya. She is one of my first mentors early on, before I really even knew that she was a mentor. And I kind of watched her get back to the community with an organization called How Can I Be a Blessing? And when I told her, I graduated from Cheney University. Shout out to HBCU. It was the first HBCU, 1837. All that crazy. But when I graduated, and I told myself that, I want to use the skills that I got from, school and all the education I was able to retain, that I want to get back to my community and make a difference. And I reached out to her and tell her, like, yo, look, I don't got no name, but I want to operate. And she was living in California at the time. And she like, all right, just, keep me posted with what you got going on, do what you need to do. And I just pretty much, I would say I kind of picked up where she left off at, from the things that, I remember her doing when I was coming up, and how we was a part of her organization. So As I Plant the Seed came a year after that. And because I wasn't, I didn't jump to just create any name. I literally waited until it came to me, and I prayed about it, and it just came to me. And it was like, I always felt like, Proverbs 22:6 was always one of my, favorite scriptures. Train the child in the way he should go, and when he is older, he will not depart from it. And I know that, planting seeds and, watching them grow is a part of that foundation that kids need to always be able to, have to come back to when they get lost. And I know that, that scripture is something that helped me when I got lost, and, when I wasn't, just a little bit of background, I'm a born and raised church boy, but, you stray away from the church or whatever the case may be. But when I got lost, I remember that scripture, and it took me right back to my foundation. And, I found God again. And, I just waited for the name, and it just made sense. And it was like, As I Plant the Seed, it just was ringing. And once it stuck, I think I told my mom, my sisters, and I just started telling everybody that was helping for the organization. I called my best friend Nafisa. She literally was like, everybody was agreeing with the name. It was a no-brainer. Like, I love it. And it was like, Dad, that's a long name. It's kind of weird. You
Mhm.
know, you know how I get when you gotta do all of that, you
The
know what I mean? So
paperwork.
yeah, it's a lot. So, but it stuck and it got a ring to it, and that's exactly what we're doing, and it makes sense. So, God gave us that, and we've been running with that name ever since. And we are official 501c3 nonprofit organization, and yeah, we excited about the work.
I want to ask this question in a way that is honorable to the work that you do, but also bringing it in a realistic way. You just said in the conversation about how the grants don't come down to the organization that got the boots on the ground, or if they do come down, they make you go through loops and holes. How you were operating this organization while doing another job. I know some people shy away from this type of work because of you don't really get financially gained from it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So how do you, I don't want to say convince because that's not the word I'm looking for, but somebody that may want to do the work, but they got to pay their bills. How what would you tell that person?
So I'll first, like, a lot of people do get caught up when it comes to money and being able to the capacity to grow without capital. But I say to them people that, excuse me too. Oh, excuse
That's all that hard work, man. That's it. You're moving
me.
around.
Yeah. So to them people, I really say, like, don't be discouraged, because I know that we started with a zero budget every year, and we was able to accomplish every goal that we set out to set. And to know that money is not really the job, and you have to go into this whole nonprofit world, especially in the beginning, as knowing how to share resources and skill share, make yourself very valuable in ways that relieve people of having to pay for something. And if you have that skill and you add value to that group of people or that person, then, when people add value to people, it comes back. You know what I mean? It's just a mutual respect and a mutual agreement that, when you are sharing skills and you are, sharing resources, you literally are minimizing on your overhead or minimizing on things that you have to pay for. And you can be real crafty on how you can, collect from the masses and, put it to good use for a purpose. And kind of like, really don't think about it as like something that you are going to be receiving. Like, this whole nonprofit thing is a complete give thing. So if your heart is not in it, that's number one. I would say don't waste your time, because this is something that's going to frustrate you. And if you have no skin in the game when it comes to what you want to do or what your plans is for the community, as far as like how far you want to go, it will make you tap out very, very quick, because the response is not easy, especially when you first started, trying to, change, and you're trying to create change and get people on board. It's not always the thing to do, especially if it's not a thing that's popping or popular at the time, as far as like when you are creating yours. So I think that people just really need to worry about being able to build their self up and have multiple skills so they can, be very valuable to other people and collaborate a lot, so you can fill the gaps and the things that you can't provide or the things you can't do naturally. You partner with people that already do it, and y'all have the same mission and goal for it, whether it be an event or whether it be y'all mission statement, that y'all could collaborate, find some commonality where y'all can grow together, and then y'all create a partnership and y'all stronger together. So we've been able to do that a lot. And we have been partnered with over probably 100 different organizations in the last 10 years to be able to do what we do today. And a lot of times we don't pay fee for service. We are skill sharing. So
Nah, that's why I said I gotta hit you up because we got I don't know if you're familiar. I'm assuming Blackman Hill.
Oh,
I'm a part of the organization, and we got a program that's funded for gun violence and youth. And I'm like, shoot, why didn't I think of Ryan for this? So I'm gonna hit
right,
you up about it. It's funded and everything too.
for sure.
Um, it was a question I had. Mentorship, men. So a lot of the things were a lot of my friends growing up, it was either their dad was missing or they had a stepdad. It wasn't their biological dad, right?
And that's
Um, go
no,
ahead.
no, no, no. You said when you just said that, I'm just like, damn. I know a lot of kids that had to grow up with a stepdad, and I just know it's tough. I know how tough it is to grow with a stepdad.
That's where I was going, and that was the question. The question was a more around of just the disconnect between men in the community and why we know why they're needed, but where's the disconnect in your opinion about that?
Well, a lot. There's a lot of disconnect, and I don't want to keep focusing on the system because we could do that all day and talk about how they mess us up. But I think that on another level and another note that we can't use that as a crutch or excuse anymore to say why um, the men are absent or have this stereotype of being absent, because I could definitely test to we got two good fathers right now on a podcast. So I can't really all the way follow that narrative, you know. But I can say that the fathers, they need skills and they need to be built up to be able to be in position to lead.
Mm,
And I think that a lot of men don't have it, and a lot of women, and not taking off from women because they do an amazing job, they are in a position where it's hard for them to allow a man to do it.
mm,
Um, and I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that, but I mean that's just to be honest. A lot of women have been put in a space of being a provider and a protector when that's not their role, and the house is running dysfunctionally the minute that the man, or there's no man in the house, and that structure of the household is missing. That is a big piece that when the mom is missing the protection, and as far as like the financial part, she have to step in that role, and then the kids miss out on the nurturing, and they miss out on the protection that is, I would say, the role of the protector. You know what I mean? More so, not saying that women can't protect, because I know that women are doing an amazing job. So I'll make sure I keep reiterating that before I be on somebody's vlog or something. But just the nature of what we up against in society, and how hard it is to raise a child on your own. You need that two-parent dynamic. And, quite frankly, a lot of these kids be having a second chance with, their mom getting married, hopefully to a nice guy, whatever the case may be. But, I hear about a lot of, stepdads that go through it with their stepson or stepdaughter because they don't understand the role, because the role of the household was broken from their parents. And now this is a whole nother man coming into a picture. And it's just kind of like, it's a process that a lot of men that are not up for the challenge for, especially when it's not your blood child that you are at odds with, and the household is so tight. When you got a stepdad in the house beefing with the kids, and the mom's position is so tight, and it's a real thin line between picking sides when it comes to both of them. And, that is not a good energy that's in the household. So even when it comes to like, having a blended family, that is some stuff that we need to work on in our community, because we have a lot of broken homes. And quite frankly, there will be more blended families and more blended families, because we need to get the value of family back to keep the families together. But while we are already under attack with these families that are missing these fathers, there will be fathers that want to be moving in with, another, family and blended families. And we need some structure, we need some order, we need some understanding, and we need some education around what a blended family look like and what a healthy family look like. We don't talk about those things, and talking about gun violence prevention and stuff like that, being proactive to, restructure the household is a way to, invest that money too, and make sure you find those organizations that are, identifying as, helping blended families and, educating blended families on how to, really you grow in that space and make it a thing in our community, because we're going to see more of it as we grow as a community, as we get more educated. The household will come back together. People will see the value in being together, being married, being two as one. You know what I mean? So when we get to that point, we need to make sure that the broken households that are going to be blended households had the education to be prepared for it too. So.
Nah, you answered like 2 or 3 of the questions that I had within so you bodied that.
I normally do that.
Talk to me about Dr. Julius Flynn. I think you probably mentioned a little bit earlier, but the role of a mentor and you in the impact that it had on you.
Man, I can't even begin where with Doc. He passed away in a pandemic, so God rest his soul. But everything that I learned from his classes, and shout out to my other doctors too. I rarely shout them out, but I'm kind of being disrespectful because, they taught me a lot too. Dr. Smith, Dr. Thorpe, Dr. Atkinson, Dr. Ray, all those department majors. But shout out to them too. But Dr. Flynn had the biggest impact because I had to take him the most to graduate, to, get my degree. And the classes that I took with him, it literally is the classes that made me into who I am, why I'm so resourceful, why I'm willing to connect, why I'm willing to skill share, why I understand, different options and different ways to, to complete the assignment without having capital, and how to raise capital, and all of these things that we had to learn, how to program, how to do needs assessments, just a lot. And without those classes, I don't think that I'd be this far. And without him, meeting me where I was, even when I was trying to spin him. And it's funny because I just screenshotted some some emails of me before it was time to graduate. I had so many excuses, and it's so funny because I get to say this now. I grind my mentees up about having excuses, and I had the most excuses in the world. I'm like, damn, I'm talking all this crap. I must have forgot how many times I needed a chance. And well, I can't say that because that's exactly why I do what I do. But at the same time, like, to think of it like how I be on them, you would think that I was always the way I was. And when I looked at the emails, I'm like, Doc, I'm just looking up at the sky like, Doc, I really was a nut. Like, I was lying. Like, some stuff that, I would just, my dog ate my homework type stuff. You know what I mean? And he just was like, would not let me pass. No matter how bright he thought I was, he would not let me graduate from that school without really getting it. And even when I thought I did enough to pass his class, he failed me 3 times. I had to take it 4 times. And because he did that, and not only did he chastise me, and then also made it easy and accessible for me to get back into his class, help me find funding if I needed to, help me pay for babysitters, help me get gas, help me my flat tire, anything that I had a barrier, he created a bridge for, and didn't allow me to have any excuses. So when I'm talking about Dr. Flynn, man, I just gotta always say kudos to him, because without loving me the way he did, and I say loving me because I think that you can't really love somebody without teaching them something. I think that you can't possibly say you love someone, or that you even know how to love, if you don't teach them, what they need to navigate in this world, and he made it his point, his job and his duty to make sure I got what I needed to equip me for today. And I'm only really kind of like here because God, number one, and the information that was bestowed in me. And, I feel like I'm being trusted with this mission to, carry out and pick up the torch of many of our ancestors, many of our, activists that laid their life on the line for this work. And I think that, I'm picking up the torch to finish out, that work, or not even finish it, just to continue, because, as long as we got life on this earth, that, we're always gonna, be fighting for a position. And, let's just leave it at that before I say something crazy.
Nah, I'm sure they got where you was going. Those who didn't needed to get it got it.
Oh my goodness. Because I tell you, I be trying to tell people, like, once you start educating yourself, not only are you unlocking information and knowing things, you got to deal with the reality of what you know. And I think a lot of people like to be ignorant or stay ignorant, because when you ignorant, you don't have to worry about certain stuff. And you don't have to be afraid. But to be honest, what this country have, was capable of doing from the beginning all the way until now, with all these people that I like to say is posing as leaders to continue the nonsense, it just really needs to stop. And, whatever the media want to portray about us being violent and threatening is not all of us. It is a narrative that is being, blown up to perpetuate why we are being treated the way we are being treated. And if we don't wake up and, the resistance is not really getting out and protesting and fighting and all of that. The resistance is really educating yourself and equipping with yourself so you won't be a part of the system. And, it'll literally break the system the minute that we smarten up and we start taking care of our own people. And, the same regard we got for Gucci and all of those big designers, I really think that we have enough of our own people to invest in them, and we really, be in a space where we can create the narrative for our own future, and, really be able to live with feeling like we're not being suffocated at opportunity. Mm. Be able to create the opportunity, so.
Man, I got like 50 more questions, but I know I want to be respectful of the time. So I'm gonna add, I want to make sure everybody get in tune with everything that you got going on. So I'm gonna leave this last, I think, one or two questions. Yeah, it's two questions. One of the last questions is your children's book that you just came out with. Talk to me about the children's book that you just, develop and put back into the community.
So I gotta say shout out to my man Steve. Like I said, we do a lot of skill sharing. We do a lot of collaborating. And Steve is one of the organizations that run his program, and also as our Apprentice micro grant recipient, to run his program out of the Treehouse. And he have an entrepreneurship program for kids called Building Business for Kids. Teach them how to build their business from start to finish. Teach them how to promote it, how to market it, how to create the product, all of it, like all of the above. And he literally, surprised me with this book, and kind of like was asking me for information, and, the kid was in on it, and it was kind of like a surprise. And it was a book that he felt like, we needed to create some, means of sustainability where people could have a way to always support us in a friendly, inviting way where, it's powerful that, somebody that looked like us was able to accomplish, building something like the Treehouse. And it's like a fairy tale story. So to create that and it be a real thing, and you could come to the Treehouse and it's a tangible, element that, become a real thing in your life, that you looking at the book, and then you can actually see the person, you can see the kids in a book, and you can see the Treehouse, and it's a real thing. And it was necessary because it's motivational for the kids. And it makes sense for, what he was trying to do for us, as far as like, us always needing funding, because the kids cost money, and, quite frankly, we need money to do the things that we do. And it was also a means to, continue funding and having a way for people to be able to just pour into our what we have going on without it be like pulling teeth or what I mean. So shout out to Steve, shout out to his organization, shout out to John Mack, shout out to his wife that just had a beautiful baby, and they still putting that work in through the pandemic. You know what I mean? So shout out to them, and there's so many other organizations that we work with that I shout out, but I definitely can't start because if I miss somebody,
they gonna get it.
oh yeah, I get it for sure.
This it right here?
Oh yeah, that's it right there, brother. That is definitely the post right there. That's the book.
Nah, I just wanted to make sure people could see. Where can they copy that?
It's on Amazon. I will post something in my story after this. Anybody want to support the book? I got the youth work link in my bio right now because I'm trying to get these kids jobs. We got 40 kids signed up to come work for the summer. We're trying to get 100 collectively between 3 sites, but I think we're gonna probably have about 200 because we just another site. Shout out to Young Dimples. She's just amazing. Her mom is doing some great work in West Philly with that organization. And we just added another site for kids to be able to, go and be able to work for the summer. So so between 4 sites, I know we probably gonna hire over 200 kids. And so that link is in my bio. So I'll definitely consistently put out the Amazon link throughout the week. So, anybody that want to buy, purchase a book, support us in that way, you could definitely tap into Amazon. But even if you go on Amazon, tap in As I Plant the Seed, it'll come right up.
All right, no, I'll definitely grab that link and put it in the when it come out, so it could be in the chat, or in the description. The last question I have is your overall perspective, viewpoint on youth and wellness. Like, what do those 2 words come to mind when you hear youth and wellness? Or mental health, youth and mental health.
Yeah, I mean, that, they all on the same lines. But the kids, what are you talking about? Forget that is what. Yo, tap out. Sorry, it's one of my mentees. But so the kids, they're the leaders. They got it. They need the safe space. They need that comfort, that nurturing side. A lot of them are just afraid, to be honest. Afraid of the stigma of what they look like. You know what I mean? They're afraid of the next person that might get them before they get them. And it's just like we need those safe spaces again. And when I think about the youth for wellness, I think about really man, and I'm just thinking about all the stories about things that happened to the youth. Some of the, like one of my youth, one of my mentees got shot just walking, and it wasn't even for him. So talk about wellness, like they are living in a war zone. You know what I mean? And they got to navigate through that space and still try to be a child. So it's not easy, but I will say that I always want to say that it's so devastating, but life is still going on. And not saying that it's any less devastating. I think that we're becoming more numb to it. And that's the scary part. So the wellness of that is realizing that we are at war and understanding that there's spaces for, people to go that you can heal from those societal standards, heal from rejection, heal from being devalued, heal from all of these things. And I think it begins with, having a safe space. So yeah, youth and wellness, I say I could just be biased and say come to the treehouse, but there's a lot of spaces that you can go into. Like my pastor, Pastor Carl, he got a great mentoring program called Cast Off the Conquerors. You got Buddha in Frankfurt with Power Circle Mentors. You got my guy Vince and Cav Gold with mentor leaders, produce mentor leaders, and all the Kingsmen
Kev was
mentoring.
on here too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so many safe spaces, so I can't even, you know, single really anybody out. And it's the same spaces that we talk about that don't get the recognition and don't get the funding. And I could talk about them and all the people that I work with and then some amazing work with, all day. But yeah, that's it right there.
Nah, I appreciate that. Do you got any final words to close us out?
Um, God is amazing. I give all my credit to, you know, just I give all the credit to. I can't do any of these things without God. Um I can't accomplish these goals without faith. I cannot even be on here and not acknowledge the foundation that made me into who I am today, with all the adversity that we had to overcome as a family, and even the things that we had to experience coming in the church as a family. To be here and to understand my position, and to know that that God is real and He's guiding my path, and everybody got a purpose and a plan, and you can be a willing vessel or you could be an unwilling vessel, but God gonna get the glory out of your life however you want to. So I'm choosing to be a willing vessel, and to know that God is real and He always is taking care of everything before we get there. It's already done. I speak it because I already know. You know what I mean? This is not me. It's funny. I'm gonna give you this. One of my mentees, his name's Shakir. People probably know him as Priceless. He just sent me a video today of me saying 5 years ago, today, I told him that we was gonna have a community center. I told him that we would have paid staff. I told him that we're gonna build a bigger organization. All these things he reminded me of today and told me every word that I spoke. But understand that these plans are not my plans. I'm working for God. So, the things that I want for my life is aligned with God. So it might look like I'm getting my way, but God really getting his way at the end of the day. So I'm really just a willing vessel, and I'm just working, and I just want everybody to know that, God is able, and, I don't want to turn it into a sermon, but I would be remorse to act like all my skills and all my, everything that I gathered, like, it's just, I'm on a mission, and, the mission is aligned. I accepted who I am and where I'm going, what I'm doing, and that's just what it is. So I thank God for it.
No, I appreciate that. I was going to ask you about your relationship with God and how he got, but you answered the questions before I even got, so I'm even glad you got there. So,
No,
on that note, please share this podcast and this story with somebody, man, and get Ryan out there and get the book and make sure As I Plant the Seed gets as much donations and funding as possible. So share this with somebody. And remember, leave a review on iTunes, and remember that this platform has never been about it being a replacement to therapy. It's an alternative place where people share therapeutic stories. Thank you for listening.